The Whispering Woods. In a small village nestled at the edge of an ancient forest, there was a story that had been passed down through generations. The elders spoke of the Whispering Woods, a dark, mysterious place where the trees seemed to whisper secrets to anyone who ventured too deep. No one in the village dared to go in, for it was said that anyone who did would never return, lost to the whispers of the woods forever. Maya, a young girl who had recently moved to the village with her family, was always fascinated by the stories. She had grown up hearing similar tales, but the villagers here seemed to speak of the forest with a different kind of fear, one that had kept the woods untouched for centuries. The other children would avoid talking about it, and their parents would warn them to stay away from its edge. But Maya was different. She wasn't afraid. Her curiosity only grew stronger as the days passed. Each time she looked at the dark tree line at the edge of the village, she could feel something calling to her, something that whispered her name in the back of her mind. She couldn't resist. One evening, after her parents had gone to bed, she slipped out of the house, determined to find out what lay within the woods. The first step into the forest felt like stepping into another world. The air was thick and still, and the trees towered above her like giants, their thick trunks and gnarled branches seeming to stretch endlessly into the sky. As she walked deeper into the forest, a strange sensation washed over her, as if the very earth beneath her feet was alive. Every step she took was accompanied by a soft whisper, barely audible but unmistakably clear. The trees were speaking to her. At first, Maya thought it was just the wind, but the longer she walked, the more distinct the voices became. They weren't just random noises. They seemed to be calling her, guiding her deeper into the heart of the forest. The whispers grew louder and they began to speak her name. Maya. The voice was soft but clear, as though it were right next to her. She stopped looking around but saw no one. The forest was silent for a moment, but then the whispers resumed, louder this time. Maya, follow us. Unable to resist, Maya moved forward, following the voices. The path was narrow, barely visible, but somehow it felt as if she were meant to follow it. The trees began to thin, and a faint glow began to appear ahead. She quickened her pace, excitement rising in her chest. When she emerged from the dense thicket, she found herself standing before an ancient tree. Its trunk was massive, covered in symbols that glowed faintly in the moonlight. Maya stepped closer, mesmerized by the patterns etched into its bark. As her fingers brushed against the markings, a surge of energy coursed through her. The whispers reached a crescendo, swirling around her like a storm. She gasped, stepping back, but the energy only intensified. Then, from the shadows, a figure emerged. An old woman, bent and frail, with skin like weathered stone, stepped forward. Her eyes shone like stars, ancient and full of secrets. "You've come," she said, her voice soft but powerful. "I knew you would." Maya stared at her, confused. "Who are you?" "I am the guardian of the Whispering Woods," the woman said. "I have watched over this forest for centuries, protecting its secrets. But now it seems the forest has chosen you." Maya felt a chill run down her spine. "Chosen me? For what?" The guardian smiled, her eyes twinkling with a strange knowing light. "The forest does not call upon just anyone. It calls upon those who are meant to protect what lies at its heart." Maya looked around, suddenly feeling the weight of her decision. The whispers had quieted, but the air felt heavy, as though the entire forest was holding its breath. The guardian gestured for her to follow, and together they walked deeper into the woods. They reached a clearing where the trees parted to reveal a hidden cave. At the center of the cave, glowing softly, was an orb, the source of the forest's power. The guardian stepped forward, her hands trembling as she placed her palms on the orb. "This is the artifact," she said. "It holds the power of the forest, the power to shape reality itself. It has been hidden here for centuries, protected from those who would misuse it. Maya's heart raced. The orb seemed to pulse with energy, calling to her. She reached out tentatively, her fingers brushing against its surface. A surge of warmth flooded her body, and for a brief moment, she felt as though she could see everything, the past, the present, and the future all at once. The whispers returned, but this time they were different. They were clear, like voices in her head, urging her to take the artifact and use its power. You must decide. The guardian's voice broke through the whirlwind of thoughts in Maya's mind. The forest can give you strength beyond measure, but it comes with a price. To protect the artifact is to take on a responsibility that will last for eternity. To misuse it could destroy everything. Maya stood in silence, her mind racing. She could feel the power of the orb, the temptation to take it, to use it for her own purposes. But she also knew the danger that lay in such a choice. The guardian's words echoed in her mind. To protect the artifact is to become its guardian, bound to the forest for all time. After what felt like an eternity, Maya made her decision. She stepped back from the orb, her heart heavy but resolute. I will protect it, she said softly. The guardian smiled, her face softening with approval. You have chosen wisely. The forest has tested you, and you have passed. As Maya turned to leave, the guardian placed a hand on her shoulder. Remember, Maya, the forest will always be with you. You are its protector now. Maya returned to the village, forever changed. She never spoke of the woods or the artifact, but she knew in her heart that her life had taken a different path. The forest had chosen her, and she would spend the rest of her days guarding its secrets, ensuring that the whispers would remain only for those who were meant to hear them.